Well, hello. Yes, it is Andy coming to you to provide an update, talk about the last month, even though I've mentioned what the deal has been in the last couple episodes of A Dave and a Dan, and yet I still get people all caps messages. Where's the pick? I need sniffs. Where's the picks? I'm going to walk off a plank. Something tells me giving you an NHL pick or two is not going to stop you from it. I mean, you've been on that plank. You're still on the plank. And whether I'm around or not, you will be on that plank. Like Bret the Hitman Hart, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. You've been on the plank, you're on the plank, and you're eventually going to walk the plank. Anyway, I wanted to do a couple things here. Provide an update. Talk about, the last month. Now, as I mentioned in A Dave and a Dan, I've been dealing with a neck injury since the end of the summer. I tried to truck my way through it. Just wasn't going away, so I knew I needed to take an extended period of time to try to rest the thing, because literally every morning when I wake up, the thing's in pain, so there's not a lot of incentive. I kept trying to, I'll do it next week, but it just wasn't getting any better. I'd taken a month off. This is my Mark Stone year. Remember, it's just like he's back, he's out, he's back, he's out. And this is the probably best year to do that, because I gotta tell you, now that I had some time off, I can finally watch some hockey. One of the problems that I have when doing all these videos and doing everything for the Patreon people and then doing this and doing that and trying to get line combos out, looking up odds, I've become Stephen A. Smith. I've always joked that there's no way you can ever listen to Stephen A. Smith. The guy's on the air from the time you wake up, from the time you go to bed. How can he ever be watching these games to formulate a legitimate opinion? And I know in seasons past, I've been able to take in a bunch of games. And sometimes with all the stuff I'm trying to get out, I don't have time to watch the games. And I can't really absorb what the hell is going on. So in the last month, it's been nice. I've been able to watch a couple of games. And now I'm finally starting to see, oh. And that brings me to talking about something that it's been an absolute travesty. It's been a mystery wrapped inside a riddle, wrapped in an enigma, that whole saying. And that is something that legitimately almost never lost last year, to the tune of 550 units. 0 losing months, hardly a single losing week. And that was obviously known as the line combos. And first of all, I want to thank everybody on the Patreon. Thank you for being patient. I did the best I could to hold you over on there with what I had, but with what I had was getting waxed because, as I just mentioned, one season after something never lost, we're seeing the polar opposite. We're in the upside down. Don't even mention that, because then we'll have to talk about that atrocity of a Stranger Things final season and finale. However, let me pose this question to you. I want you to give me your best answers, because it's something I'm like, I don't understand. How can this thing that won all the time hardly ever win? And I'm just trying to wrap my head around how that works. Now, the first thing you would naturally say is, well, last year was just a once-in-a-lifetime year, and that's it. We know that's not the case. We had line combos multiple seasons before that, and even though we didn't do every single one like on the spreadsheets, we were even given 2-point combos out here 2 seasons ago. We were laughing with them. But this year, everything changes. It's been, the opening month, I said, well, man, it's the October Swiss. We're going to remember this forever. No, it's not just October. It's the year of the Swiss. I don't know when Chinese New Year is. It's always it's like a month and a half after regular New Year's. And it's always year of the mouse, year of the rat, year of the horse. It's a year of the cheese. And there has to be a reason for that. And everybody keeps kind of circling around the same topic. And that topic is, well, it's the condensed schedule. There's all these games going on. Okay, fine. I agree that has to play a part. But why does a condensed schedule now mean that when one guy scores, why is his line mate never getting in on the goal? It's not making sense. And if you look around the league, you're seeing preposterous scores, things that it's almost impossible to happen. The New York Islanders won 9-0 against the New Jersey Devils. Matt Barzal had 3 or 4 points. Neither of his line mates had a single point. So I'm sitting there watching. I'm going, okay, I see why. So first, like I said, you tell me your theory, and then I'm going to tell you mine right now. So I think there's a two-pronged theory, and this speech I'm giving right now is for anyone who's been able to cash on these last couple of years, but especially the people on the Patreon, because I've been perplexed as to what the hell's going on. Like, people were, I'm not kidding. I have actual confirmation. One of the Patreon members purchased a car last year. Like, literally, you never had a car. The line combos allowed this guy to have a car. To sort of go from that to full house of wax, I needed to figure it out. So you give me your reason down below. And now I'm going to give you my reason because, I have to come up with something. There has to be something going on. And because of the condensed schedule, two things are happening. You are seeing a precipitous decline in practices. Like, the amount of practices has shot down considerably because there are so many games, so many 3 games in 4 nights that you typically would only have a few over the course of a full season. Now they're happening all the time. So that results in almost no practices happening. And when there are no practices happening, you can't work on different line combinations. For example, if a team is on a 4-game losing streak and they want to switch things up, we would see that practice report. We would see, the Bruins have lost 4 in a row. They're going to take Pasternak, move him off Lindholm's line, try him with Zacha once again. And then going into that next game, we're pretty much going to see if those new lines work out. And they'll let that play out a full game, maybe even 2 games. So you can rely on that line being together. But because there are none of these practices where they can work this stuff out, what you're seeing is the tinkering just happening from game to game. So you could have, Barzal and Hyndman. Oh, well, look, they're playing together. We know they're both on the top power play. And then 9 goals go in and, they're not playing together. Why aren't they playing together? Well, in the event of some, like if some teams are losing, they're just trying to juggle the lines and seeing what works. But then if it doesn't work out right away, it's like, you know what? Forget about that. So it's creating rapid line combinations. But in the Islanders' case, and most teams' cases, because there are so many games, and this is the second part of my 2-prong reason, the coaches, they have to squeeze as much as they can out of all of these lineups. And it's just impossible for everybody to have jump. I've already mentioned through the years how many mail-ins happen throughout the course of a regular season. I've notoriously mentioned the Oilers and the Panthers and the Lightning in the past, teams who have deep playoff runs. But now you have a coach looking at his roster, and it's like, this guy has 0 jump. But then all of a sudden, you'll see Anthony Duclair's flying out there, and he ends up scoring 3 or 4 goals in that game, and he's on Barzal's goals. Why? Because Patrick Roy sees Duclair's got that jump tonight, put him with Barzal. So you're seeing rapid changes in some of these lineups. So I think that's what's going on. 2 reasons. Number 1, not enough practices where teams can implement new lines and then have the discipline to stay with them. And then number 2, because you're getting just varied efforts from players on a night-to-night basis because of how many games there are, you're seeing coaches just tinker with lines that would normally even be together, but because somebody looks flat, maybe they'll just do an in-game adjustment. I told you why I believe the line combo problem exists. Now, got to provide a solution, right? So here's my solution. I still think you should bet the line combos, but now try to focus on these. One of 2 things. Combos from a team who are winning consistently. I'm talking about these teams who have points in 8 of 10, 9 of 10, because those lines very rarely change. When you see teams rattling off points in 7 in a row, they keep the chemistry going. They keep the lines going in between those teams. So when you see a team like rattling off those wins, you know those are going to be the same. Like before Konechny got injured, you had Philly ripping off points in all those games. They kept the same. Zegras, Konechny, Dvorak, every single game. That was the first line. Then it was Couturier, Tippett, Barkey, and then Michkov, Brink, Cates. Every single game, you never had to worry about it. Or number 2, the other option are what I like to call legacy combos. When you see them playing before the game, you know they're going to end up together. You know Suzuki and Caulfield, if they're together pregame, they're playing with each other for the game. Now, Larkin and Raymond, they're experiment. Every year they take a week where they try something different. But pregame, you see them together, they're ending together. You could always do McDavid with Bouchard, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Rantanen, Johnston, Hintz, Robertson. These guys who have been cemented together, and as long as they're consistently winning and nothing crazy happens, those are the ones. So try to focus when you're doing some of those combos on players from winning teams, because if you just see someone like the Island, they're just trying to duct tape together wins. So avoid weird moldable teams where they keep if a team isn't playing well, stay away from those combos, because you're way more likely to get ratted by a ton of mid-game changes. So that is my solution to the line combo Swiss cheese problem.
Jeez. Yeah.
The line combos, remember this, it will always be the best way to bet on the NHL. Do you need proof? Yes. It hasn't been as lucrative as seasons past. Here's how you know that you're betting the best style of NHL bets. Because a sportsbook will introduce the feature on request from people like us, cough, cough, BetMGM. Now, I didn't want to bring this up while it was going on because I knew if I spoke it here, start showing screenshots of BetMGM, everyone's going to flock there, we're going to whack some, and then they're going to be gone. But without me even doing that, BetMGM, remember at the beginning of the year, I said tweet out to them, tag them, tell them we want those player props in our same game parlays. Well, guess what? They implemented them. And then guess what? They got waxed so hard that they removed them a little over a week after implementing them. And then they just, that's it. If you're in the US, you can't access them anymore. They put their toe in the pool, got waxed, said, never mind, I'm not doing that. And now I think they're available in Canada with obliterated, neutered rates. Don't forget, Caesars removed player points from the same game parlays. When you have sportsbooks removing the feature that you're consistently trying to bet, that's the wink you need. Oh yeah, this is probably what I want to be doing. So that's still going to be the best way. Especially trickle-down snakeonomics is still always going to be the best way to go about it. You find somebody who gets promoted. He's coming in at a great plus 110. Now you can use that plus 110, juice it with someone else that he's on a line or power play with, and then you're getting prices that are really reserved for like long shot stuff. And then you do that in the long run and you're usually laughing. This season hasn't been a season of laughter, especially considering my neck. So I wanted to use this video to catch you guys up on what was going on. I was resting, absorbing, and going forward, I'm going to do my best to continue the videos in a mostly normal fashion. That's a little catch up. I will try to, crank out the videos as consistently as possible. And now I guess we should end the video with a couple of bets, because that's what you're here for, because we're going to talk about, where we're at in this NHL season. Another part of this condensed schedule is it means that this is one of the biggest scam seasons. This ranks right up near the top of scam seasons of recent memory. Like, you have like a lockout 40 game season. That's kind of a scam one. Now, obviously the COVID season where Winnipeg is playing Toronto in a conference final, and then Montreal, who's like a lottery team the year before and after, is in the Stanley Cup against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So like that is like the scam of scam. This isn't far down below, because all these games are going on and you're not getting everybody's. Look at the standings. You know what the best part about this is? I'm an Islander fan. So what I'm about to say should lend credence, because I'm just not some guy ripping on these teams. I know you guys love teams like Montreal last year, and then I tell you now they're just going to get waxed by a disciplined forward-checking team. The teams you see, especially in the East, in the overwhelming majority of these playoff positions, they're just massive scams. Huge scams, and they have legitimately zero chance of doing anything. I'm talking about my New York Islanders. I saw the Flyers in a wild card. The Penguins I saw in a wild card. Sorry, Stevie Bongribs. Detroit. you rely on the same 4 players to generate all your offense. You're thin on the back end and don't have reliable goaltending. This is just a result of just cranking out these games. Every game's going to overtime. Everybody's getting points. But when all is said and done, and that brings me to a couple of bets that I'm going to give right here. There's a reason I put teams in the Scam 5, and then I tell you to take teams earlier. Now, I gave this to the Patreon folk around Christmas time, but still, I think the same thing applies. We're not getting the prices that we were at the time. But I tell everybody that teams that aren't going to look as good in the regular season because they have a little experience, so they know what they're going to need come April, you're not going to see their best for the majority of the season. And those 3 teams right now would be the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Florida Panthers, and the Edmonton Oilers. Now, if this was a month ago, you would have been getting a much better price because all 3 of those teams were kind of out of the playoff picture, with Edmonton kind of on the fringe. You remember when they said this is it, finally, it's too much, Edmonton's never going to be that team anymore? Like, this is the true year, it's over, McDavid's gone. Where are they? Just right back in that division, are going to waltz through a couple of teams in the first couple of rounds. There's only so many years I can say this stuff, and only so many times that you guys can see this before you go, yeah. I actually had those sniffs in already because I've been so familiar with you talking about them. So the 3 teams, my 3-team make the playoff parlay: Oilers, Panthers, Leafs. You've heard of those teams, right? And then the opposite, the Scam 5, not going to make the playoff trio. Sorry, Stevie. Detroit, Pittsburgh, and the Buffalo Sabres. If you don't like any of those teams, just swap in the Islanders. I just don't want to give the Islanders because, as the people on the Patreon will tell you, I pick against them all the time. I mean, I know what's coming for them. The question is, do you know what's coming for your team and others like your team, Stevie? So those 3 teams not to make the playoffs would be my other futures bet, along with a man who has done nothing but bring smiles to my face through the years. It started at the All-Star Skills competition a couple of years ago. He won the fastest skater. He won the corner picking contest. He won like the multi-level skill competition. And then he won the trophy overall, where they gave out like $1 million to the winner. Then you might remember this guy. He won the Conn Smythe despite losing the Stanley Cup final. And then head-to-head last year, yeah, we had to pay some juice, but he won the head-to-head points bet over Sasha Barkov. And I'm talking about Connor McDavid because any way I can get my hands on a Connor McDavid bet at an even reasonable price, I'm going to take it. Now, this was as good as plus 120 like a week ago, and this is the Art Ross race for most points in a season. Him and Nathan MacKinnon are pretty much tied in the odds. Nathan MacKinnon is having a season that everybody is talking about every single night. This guy's like drilling 4 points a night. Everyone's saying this is like the most MacKinnon of MacKinnon season. With him having this ultra incredible year, nobody's like, you wouldn't even think McDavid's having that great of a year. And yet, they're basically tied in points. No one's talking about McDavid having this ultra crazy McDavid year. And yet his regular is pretty much MacKinnon's ceiling. And that's why my bet is going to be for McDavid to win the Art Ross. However you want to get it, fine. I don't know if you want to take it with some Super Bowl future. I don't know if you have something else that you like in the long run to get it at a price that you like. But I'm just saying, between you and I, which team of these 2 do you think is going to have that division locked up, I don't know, a month ahead of time? Yes, Colorado. Also, Colorado, they saw those other teams rest their players down the stretch last year. Could McDavid be a candidate for that? Maybe, but you also don't know how many points they're going to need as they're fighting for some playoff positioning or even just to make the playoffs. So I'm going to go with Connor McDavid. I'm pretty much, until he's out of his prime, taking him for any sort of bet like this. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with Connor McDavid, most points in the regular season, aka the Art Ross Trophy. That's what I have for you in this catch-up video. In summation, I've been injured. It's my Mark Stone year. So I had to take an extended period of time off. But I've taught you a lot through the years. You know how to check those lineups. You know how to find those trickle-down snakeonomics. But I will be back to give out more normal picks as long as I'm feeling up to it because, like I said, I've been on the IR, LTIR, short-term IR, but as long as I'm all right, I could crank these out on certain nights. Maybe I won't feel up to it. That's why you should subscribe and click the notifications, because just like when this video came out, you'll probably get the notification. I'm going to try to get into a normal groove.
Wow, jeez.
For today, you were happy when the video started, and you're probably already cursing because there aren't videos for whatever you need tonight. But those will be coming next. And how will you know when those are out? By doing those simple things like subscribing to the YouTube channel, clicking the bell for notifications if it's a bell or whatever the hell they have up there. And then I'll be back with you for the next round of standard 9 to 5 NHL sniffs. Take it easy. I will talk to you next time. Later.